Hey everybody, it's me, Chris Herman, here for another episode of On Deck. Today, I have a repeat guest, a good friend, and a brilliant entrepreneur. His name is Eric Brown, back for round two. Eric is the owner of inSearchX and their product, AskOtto, which is a perpetual search platform, primarily for the retail automotive industry. It is really fascinating, and it's something that's developed in a unique direction over the last couple of years. We are going to be partnering and help offer this to our clients here, and I wanted to spend some more time talking with Eric about the recent developments. So without further ado, here we go. It's Eric Brown. All right, hang on. Well, let me get my shit together here, okay? Can you hear okay, Eric?
I hear okay.
You good? You comfortable?
I'm comfortable.
Great. All right. Well, how about that? That's the new show intro. We'll replace the music on the video.
Yes.
Eric
should have
Brown.
brought our guitars in and just open up that way.
I know. Welcome. Right. How are you?
Great.
You're back on deck.
I'm back on deck. Thanks. Pleasure to be here.
I'm thankful that you were able to come back, and sure. I'm looking forward to a continuation of you blowing my brain out on some of your latest technologies. And yes, of course, we've got the guitar here. And just a funny, quick little aside, I did a podcast yesterday with a friend of mine who works at a really cool guitar shop down in Miami. I think I told you about it.
Yes.
And all we did was talk about guitars. Out of 80, this will be episode 84 or 85. I've never not had a guitar on the wall behind me, except yesterday I forgot.
Oh no!
My guitar buddy.
Episode,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. The guitar episode I totally forgot.
So that probably really strung you out, huh? Okay.
That's 3.
Okay, I had to
You've got 3.
I know.
Tiny guitar, high pitched songs.
Yeah.
Really strung me out.
Yeah.
Eric, you're a genius.
All right. Something like that.
Eric, tell us, okay, so obviously you're here for us to have this conversation,
physically.
But also you are physically here.
Yes.
But we're also, as an agency, getting up and running as an affiliate partner with inSearchX.
Yes, thank you very much.
And so why don't we, for our massive audience, bring you back up to speed, or bring them back up to speed on all that you've been working on, because it's really... it's a lot, and over the course of the last 2-3 years, as we've been talking and working in some form or fashion on this, it continues to take this really amazing life on its own, and now it's getting to something where, as you said, it's like, whoa,
yes.
I think we got something here.
Right. Yeah, it's very exciting, and keeps me up at night trying to keep up with everything. But yeah, it's great. It's the underlying principles, I think, of the business is what gives it life, gives it legs, gives it engine. Mm-hmm. And that is that, largely speaking, digital marketing today is organized based on an internet that was created back in the 90s. And what I mean by that is that almost all of digital marketing is about how do I get the consumer's attention. So we're sending up rockets and balloons, and we're trying video, we're doing all these things, HTML5 and all this stuff to try to get the consumer's attention and then get them to navigate to somewhere else on the web. And that idea of navigation was born because back in the early 90s and late 90s, everything was sitting on private servers. And so if I wanted you to see my stuff, mm-hmm. I had to get you from server A to server B. And we didn't have things like mobile phone, and we weren't continuously connected to the internet. And so what's happened, of course, is everything is in the cloud. Everything is an API. I spend my days talking about APIs and working with APIs. And so what that means is, as a consumer, I really don't need to navigate anywhere anymore. I can just ask my device to find me the content or the products or services that I want, and have my device essentially curate the internet for me. And now it's a source of information rather than something I navigate to. And even recently, or not necessarily that recent, Google, more and more, when you go to Google and you do a search, it's the content you're looking for is presented on Google.com. Even the toaster oven, pictures are at the top of the page now, and you can carousel through them, and your ticket prices and your stock prices and flights and everything, right?
Yeah, it's not even, you don't even have to go to to Expedia anymore. It's
right.
It's right there.
It's right there. And Google was invented to aid navigation of the internet. of how do I find the servers I want to go visit. Well, now that we don't have to visit servers anymore, they're all in the cloud, as I said, I can literally just curate the content. And so what that means is I can have an always-on access to the internet that I couldn't have before, and I can essentially tell my device to go find the data I want or the content I want. And that's really sort of the heart of all that is that navigation is friction. And I always kind of talk about this too. It used to be, wow, getting water out of the sink was pretty amazing for a whole generation of people. We think, unless it's in a bottle, I'm not interested.
Oh, I know. I might just like that, right? It's like, ew.
I mean, when they put it in the refrigerator, wow, look, it's in the refrigerator door. Well, not anymore. It's not good enough. They don't even.
It needs to be placed in a bottle by some place that I have no idea what it is, what they're putting into, right?
Right.
And then travel to me thousands of miles. Then that's good water.
And the internet has followed the product path of pretty much all products we know, where it starts out, that's pretty amazing, but now this is even more amazing, and this is even more amazing. And so now we're at a point where I don't really need links, I don't really need to navigate, I can just ask for the content. And so that's what we're up to with what we call perpetual search, where we're removing navigation from product search. And we're starting, of course, in automotive, and saying to the consumer, hey, just activate a search. We'll keep our eyes on the content for you, on the APIs, and then align them with what your needs are and deliver that to you. And you can, as you respond to that content, we're getting smarter about what your needs are. And at any point, you can open dialogue with a local merchant, in this case, an auto dealership, about your car through what we call a Slack-like channel without sharing any PII. And that's the other big trend, right? Is away from sharing email and phone and more through connectivity of communicating through our devices by connecting over the internet, right?
Well, it's really fascinating to us because when you first start off, AskOtto was, sort of, for lack of better terminology, the name of a computer program that would help curate vehicles for people. Hence, AskOtto for what you're looking for, and Auto will bring it to you. And
automatically.
And then, I think in one of your many brainstorms, this whole concept of perpetual search really came up, which I think is very powerful because, and it takes, a second to just explain it and understand it. But then once it's understood, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. The AI is constantly searching for you.
Correct.
It's perpetually searching for what you just like, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for.
Right.
And it's going to keep serving it up. And through that process, there's going to be more data acquired in which it will help hone in on a tighter result.
Right, exactly. It's why are we making, I had my, the prior company was Dadium, and, we would see people visit 28 websites, and we were tracking all that clickstream data. And we would see people go to a dealership website looking, let's say, for a Honda Accord. They'd do an inventory search, and then they wouldn't even scroll the page, or they wouldn't click on any of the search results. And we saw a car in the data that would have been perfect for them based on what we saw their behavior elsewhere, but they just didn't navigate properly.
Right.
So if you think about it, there's a lot of hope in digital marketing today where I hope I picked the right keyword, or I used the right data, which, by the way, third-party data is being mitigated as we speak for privacy reasons.
Sure.
Right? So I hope I got that right first. I hope the messaging in the ad was right, and I got them to respond to that. Then I hope they navigated appropriately to my website, which, by the way, there's a 50% bounce rate, right? So if you're paying $3 a click, you're suddenly at $6 a user, And then I hope they find my inventory search, and they do the right inventory. They pick the right drop downs, and I hope they find a car in those search results. I hope they scroll the search results to find the car. And it's just not happening. That's breakage. Every one of those steps is just breakage along the way.
Well, and it's gone from something, and as you're saying this, I'm just recalling a recent experience that I had in just looking for a hotel. And what started off for me as somebody, I don't travel much anymore just because we haven't as much with COVID, but being able to book a hotel was just like, I was like, oh, this is so great. I use hotels.com, go on, I knew my way in and out around, and I still do. But what I'm finding now is, particularly with hotels.com, they're throwing in more choices. They're trying to be like hotels.com and Airbnb, right? So it's not just hotels, but it's also houses and stuff that's going through. And so as the user, I have to define more parameters, right?
You have to learn their software.
Exactly. And it's taking more time to find something. Just to find a simple hotel room is now taking more time, a little bit more time. Where a couple years ago it was like, oh, this is great. Now I'm over it, right?
Right.
And
you're looking for something faster because a couple of years ago that seemed really fast. Now it doesn't seem that fast anymore.
Exactly. That's it.
It could be. You could actually be doing it faster than you were 2 years ago. You likely are because you know the software better. But your perception, because everything else, remember when Amazon started and 3-day delivery was pretty amazing, and now same day is expected. Now you have things like GoPuff, 15 minutes. Right? That's just the evolution of the path of least resistance. We've had this conversation before. Consumers are constantly seeking it, and so water out of the sink was the path of least resistance before. And I joke about cars, like horses were the path of least resistance from getting from one place to another for a while. Right. And we sell cars today because there's less friction in driving a car than raising a horse and managing all that. Right?
It's a real testament to how impatient we are, B, to some degree how spoiled we are. It's like, I gotta take like 5 minutes and find a hotel. But to the point that I'm getting at, which is your software and platform takes that away. Right? It's like I say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And it's going to
go back to your latte.
And I go back and it's just, and I
that you waited far too long to get from Starbucks. But anyway, that's all.
Yeah, exactly. But it's doing it for you at this point in time.
Right.
And, I asked, I was like, Eric, is anybody sniffing you out on this thing? Because this is a concept that over the last couple of years has really started to develop into something that I think is going to be really interesting for dealers. So, as we were talking about earlier, we're going to be an affiliate partner of yours and present this solution to our clients. And I'm looking forward to actually working with it and seeing how it works, because I think over time, as your, let's call it your network and your platform builds, it represents a real shift in how people can do business and how dealers can find their customers in a different way.
Yeah, and it solves a lot of problems even beyond just sort of the navigation and friction. And that the consumer and the vehicle don't have to be on the website at the same time, which is an issue these days with the inventory shortage. And I know, by the way, it's a lot easier to deliver the car to the consumer than to get the consumer to the car. And that's the real, we're inverting that model, is to saying, why don't I deliver the content to the consumer rather than trying to navigate the consumer to my content? And it's just, I was in an ADA recently, and we used to have, this, people would ask me, what is perpetual search? And I used a couple of analogies, but one I was using was, see that gentleman across the aisle in the blue jacket. Which do you think's easier? Me to jump up and down and scream and try to get his attention and then get him to walk over here and have a conversation with us, or to me to walk across the aisle and introduce myself? And it's really that, it's really that simple a thing. And if he said, hey, I'd like to talk to anyone who has a perpetual search platform, then I'm right there in a beeline. Why would I say, hey,
Let
you
me hold
over
a
there?
sign up.
Right. Why would I do that?
I have perpetual search.
Right. Yeah. Why do that? Just walk up to him and start the conversation. And the other analogy, and this is in the new video we just put out, is going back to Amazon again. How did Amazon, beat Walmart? How did they gain all that market share? It's by delivering the product to the consumer, instead of making the consumer navigate to a store and then find the product at the store, which is what digital marketing is today. We're asking people to navigate to places to find what they want. Just ask them what they want and give it to them. It's pretty simple.
Now, how do you, because some people, there is an element of that potential customer does have to go through the initial, here's what I want.
Has to AskOtto. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But how do you get past people's initial reluctance to do that, right? Like, not everybody's ready to go. I think at this point in time, a lot of people are sort of a little standoffish when it's like, well, give us your information. So walk us through that a little bit.
Right. So obviously what we're marketing to the consumer is convenience and privacy. And those are convenience has been the driver of all adoption since man has been alive, right? And so the first thing we say, this is going to be easier. You can just AskOtto and go about your day. We'll automatically do your car shopping for you, et cetera. And then if you have questions about the car, you can post those without sharing any of your personal information to the consumer. To the dealership. There's a Slack-like channel with no PII. And so what we find, and then we have different things that we can engage them with too, like we have a quiz. So if you're not quite certain which car is right for you, you can have a dialogue with AskOtto, AskOtto. And after you answer those 5 questions, we actually score 471 makes and models based upon other people like you, how well they like those cars. It's based on millions of vehicle survey data of owners. And we say, oh, you're a lot like Chris. Chris loves his Prius, okay? Actually, I think you have a Lambo or something, right? Yeah.
No, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
GMC Yukon.
Actually, with all these guitars, you probably have a really good or large SUV, I'm guessing.
I do have a large SUV.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
And
got a lot of
kids.
equipment to move around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And kids.
We got a school
always
bus.
got kids.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So here's the question, though. When the guitars have to be somewhere and the kids have to be somewhere, who gets the default?
The guitars.
You don't have to answer that in public.
The guitars are pretty stationary. The kids are more mobile. So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right.
That's how that's going for right now.
But anyways, yeah. So the point is that the consumer can go. So we have the quiz, and so we'll ask them the 5 questions. Here's 3 cars. Great. Click this button to activate a search for Toyota Corollas, let's say, and they're done, right? Or if they've on a dealership site, we have a single line of code. It can go there, and then we've seen that they've conducted a search for a Honda Accord, let's say, on that website. And when they go to leave, we say, would you like to activate search notifications? Great, push a button. Search notifications are activated. They're now getting updates, et cetera, et cetera. So we're always looking for low friction points ourselves. So we were talking about what we're doing with parking lots, for example, even though this is more on the consumer acquisition of inventory from consumers. But when you park your car, your license plate is captured. We now know your make and model. And so we, on your phone, literally while you're parking your car, it'll say, oh, here's the value of your car. There is or isn't a recall on your car. And would you answer 5 questions about the vehicle you're driving? Great. Would you like to get an offer on your vehicle? And of course, once they answer those 5 questions, we expose to them offers from our advertising partners that here's this person goes on a Honda Accord in New York City, 2015, and the APIs again are then instantly giving them content about the value of the car and an offer on the car in many cases. Yes,
I want to slow you down here because you went right into that.
Yeah, sorry.
But I think this is a really big deal about what you're doing right now. This whole component of so we've been talking about the perpetual search and how we, for dealers and for everybody, get people into this deal. But now you've unlocked a whole potential new world. Right. Which is all these parking lots where
thousands and thousands.
The vehicle, the plate is scanned, captures the VIN, and boom.
Right.
I go to a parking lot in New York City. One of the 700,000 people who park a day. Did you say?
Yes. Right.
I park my car, and I get a notification on my phone that says, "Hey, this is what your car is worth. Here's the right."
Right. Exactly.
I didn't ask for it.
No.
But now all of a sudden whoa. Right.
Right.
I mean, how many new buying decisions or search decisions or trade-in decisions does something like that trigger because nobody was even thinking of that?
It's why they hand out credit scores like candy these days. All over the place, right? You always get your credit score. And it's kind of the same thing. Here's the valuation of your car. Here's a safety bulletin on your vehicle if there is one. And then, we give them a little bit of navigation where they can get an instant offer for car insurance or warranty or sell their car or activate a search for the next car. And the idea is to remove friction from having to go somewhere to make any of that happen, right? I literally, the scan of my license plate created these channels for me, these API pipes, if you will. And as a consumer, I can scroll through essentially an Instagram feed and decide if I want to engage them or I can ignore the whole thing. But it's always on, right? It's perpetual.
It's amazing. I think it's real. I think it's really amazing, because right now, no dealer has the car that somebody's looking for.
Correct.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I've been discussing it with our crew here and with our dealer partners. This environment that we're operating in, this low inventory, no chips, this is not going away in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Mm-hmm. This is what it is for, let's just say, the foreseeable future. Right. And I think for any of us to be in the, creating this mindset that some of us were in was like 6 more months, it's going to get better. It's not. I just don't think it is. I think we're going to be experiencing disruption in the supply chain for a long time. And so particularly for customers who are looking for cars, right? You go on a dealership website right now, A, you're not going to see a lot of cars.
Correct.
B, many of the cars that are on there may already be either pre-sold or are incoming units. They're not even there yet, right? So there's no clear idea for the... I guess what I'm saying is searching for a car is even more difficult now.
Correct.
So what better time to have an AI solution that does it for you and goes, hey, Eric,
Yeah.
it's here.
It's here now.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Again, we don't require the consumer and the vehicle to be in the same place at the same time. It's that simple. And then, on the inventory acquisition side, it's the same thing. And all we're doing is, removing friction. And we talked about earlier, navigation is friction. Me having to go to a dealer site and find a form to fill out is friction. You mean you can scan my license plate and let me know what that dealer would offer my car? Great. That's less friction. And maybe I wasn't in that market of selling my car. That's fine. There was zero friction to me. It was just more information provided to me instantaneously for an action I was taking anyway. It's kind of like, you bought a burger. Would you like fries with that?
So, as you've been out traveling around and discussing this whole technology, right? What are the things that you've, I guess, learned along the way that were the most surprising, right? Like, you start off here, right?
Good question.
And now you're here. And along the way, a number of things have kind of, stimulated you to go, oh, well, wait, this, that, right? Is there anything that along the way that's just like, I can't believe it went in this direction?
One, how little I actually know. That was the first thing. I think I knew this lesson and I had to learn it again, and that is, I'm trying to think of the best words to describe this. When you're creating something new, there's this desire to leap forward and give it all new names and new whatever. And one of the things I discovered was that I needed to anchor. Even though what we're doing, we think is very revolutionary, we needed to anchor it in things that people already know, and we didn't do a very good job of that in the beginning. And our, we're talking about what I didn't know. When we talked about it, it was not succinct enough for the reality people were currently in. Does that make any sense? That's why when you have a new company, your biggest competitor always is the legacy. Whatever that is, whether it's, search engine marketing or PPC, or it's another company that's just, nobody got fired for buying IBM, it's always legacy. So this weird thing is you sort of have to come to market with one foot in legacy and one foot just slightly forward of that. And that's where you see things are, widely adopted, like, it's a microwave oven. Today I would say to you, hey, I got to go buy a microwave, and you'd go, oh, I know what that is. But if 30 years ago, microwaves were $5,000 and they had their own stores and they had cooking classes, and it was always, the word microwave was always followed by oven. Because that was the anchor word. Oh, it's an oven. It's a different kind of oven. And microwave sounds very futuristic, so it must be a better oven than the one I'm staring at right now. I'd like to know if I'm missing out on something, right? Is there a path of least resistance in cooking, or of less resistance in cooking as a result of this new oven? And there was, and therefore the adoption. And it's a cell phone. We used to say not that long ago, flat screens.
I was just going to say a flat screen TV.
Now if I say I'm going to buy a TV, you immediately think of flat screen.
Right.
You're not thinking of a cathode tube, right?
No.
Right? And so now we don't have to say flat screen anymore. We say TV. It's like we say microwave. But in the beginning, we had to have that delineation that I'm buying a TV that has a flat screen. Right? And then actually in the business we're in, right, it was a horseless carriage. Nobody was going around, hey, we sell cars. It's like good for you. I mean, I've got a carriage. What can you help me with here? Oh, I've got a horseless version of your carriage. A what? You mean I don't have to feed the horse and groom the horse and give up 40% of my farmland to maintain the horse? No. Okay. Wow. Show me that horseless carriage.
So do you think Perpetual will just be at some point in time just...
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know. Yeah.
So, again, back to the things I don't know.
Well, it's always good to have a knowledge of what you, at least an understanding that there's a lot that you don't know, right?
Sure.
So long as your mind stays open to realize, okay, there's a lot I don't know, so let's keep the brain open here.
And I would say that's probably the most valuable lesson I ever got in my life. And I, at this point, I don't even remember where I got it, but we talked about this last time. Fearless curiosity.
Yes.
Just this willingness to talk to anyone and everyone and ask any question and dive into any, any search. Just be willing to, have an open mind and listen. It's amazing what you learn.
Well, and not only, and that leads to those, those, for lack of better words, like, those brainstorms or thought bubbles that pop up out of nowhere, right?
Out of nowhere.
I've always...
By the way, Perpetual Search happened at 3 a.m. It literally woke me out of my sleep.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I think your mind can wake you up like that?
I believe you, though, because that's how things come if you have an open mind and just say, okay, I'm a strong believer. I've learned this over time. I say this to myself all the time. If there's ever a difficult situation, I just always say, there's always a way. Yeah. There's always a way. I don't know what it is right now, right? Mm-hmm. I'm willing to accept that, but I know there's a way.
Right.
And 10 times out of 10, at some point in time, the way presents itself to you, right? So long as you're open to it and you understand that. But it's just like, you don't understand that maybe when you're younger, but as you start to get older, you just go, there's always a way.
You're starting to sound like a Magnolorian. Did I say that right?
A what?
The Star Wars, this is the way.
Oh, the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
Does he say that, something like that?
He says, this is the way. That's their little catchphrase. This is the way.
There's always a way, Eric.
Yes.
Do you... you're a creative person, right? I mean, you're also you're a musician and a songwriter. We've discussed that before. I'm still trying to get you to come in here and do your set. So
I don't play for free.
Yeah, it's okay. We can work out some exchange programs, some low level barter. How about that? Okay.
Yeah. Like the podcast.
Yeah, I've got a guy like he can work on your guitar and get change the strings for you and stuff like that.
Nice.
But there's the creative process of like writing music and what have you, and then there's like this creative business process, right? Do you approach what you're doing with like a sense of creativity, or is this more of like a methodical connect one piece to the next kind of deal?
Wow. Okay. Let me think about that one for a moment. I don't know if I could... I don't know if I have an answer for that. It just is,
right.
And I've never known it to be any other way, for as long as I can remember. And so I don't know if I have a process other than just this. I guess I try to understand the context of everything, and try to see the connected points as well, right? So and sometimes the connected points are behind the door, and so I'm never afraid to open the door and sort of dive a little bit further. Just like with this parking lot thing, I immediately immersed myself in the park. I'm literally giving out at the conference next month the Parking Industry Executive of the Year award at a conference in Reno, right? 6 months ago, we weren't there yet,
right?
And I just immersed myself.
It was hardly even a thought, right?
Right.
And now, there you are.
It's a big part of the business now.
You'll be in Reno, baby.
Yes. By the way, getting from South Florida to Reno is not easy.
Really?
All day. Yeah, to get there. Yeah, but anyway, I'm looking forward to it, and we've got a nice video they're going to run up there for us, and we're a sponsor, and I had to buy that handshake, but anyway,
as
we have a booth there, which we haven't even done that in the automotive industry. So
it's is there the desire once?
By the way, patent pending too for everybody who's listening.
Okay,
yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
As you let's say this thing takes off and becomes what it seems like it could really be. Yes. Do you think about other industries where this becomes a?
Oh, definitely. We've had inquiries already from other industries, and in fact, I flew to Nashville. Was it last week or the week before? I can't remember.
Right.
And had a meeting with some folks that in another industry with a lot of experience there, wanting to bring Perpetual Search into that industry, and at this point, it's a logistical question of, what does the delusion of focus mean to where we are now? It's probably just a little premature for us to get there. But we're constantly having that conversation from actually a variety of industries. That one's probably the most progressed, but and some very large players in the space, actually. Names you would know. We've had that conversation. We just, we need more resources to do that, and you can't bootstrap that type of relationship.
Yeah. Well, Eric, I think it's fascinating what you're doing.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to partnering with you and helping to.
I'm very excited to have a agency of your quality and merit involved. It says a lot. Thank you.
We've got a lot of good dealer partners that are open-minded and are willing to take a word on. Let's try something, right? And that's really fun. So I'm looking forward to being able to roll this out. Is there any more information that you'd like to share with our many listeners and viewers here?
No, other than Chris is a great guy, very talented guy. Yes, and super guitar player.
Eric, we enjoy our conversations.
Yes, we
and
do.
Again, I can't say enough. I'm going to put it one more time out there. When you're ready, when you're ready to debut the new music, Wednesday nights or the nights.
I've got to get my NFTs up first with those songs, and then once they're NFTs, then they're secure. We're ready to go.
We're actually beginning that process.
Are you?
Yeah, we're going to do our first round next week, and it will be guitar related. But we're going to begin working on our first drop.
I'm going to take some of my original music and turn them into NFTs just to.
Why not?
To be curious and learn what that's about.
That's what we're doing. We're just looking at the space like this is exciting. It's interesting. It's the wild, wild west. Let's just do something and put it out there, and figure it out as we go. Because
Yeah, that's how you learn. Right?
Web 3.0 is going to be the thing.
It's the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't hardly wait for 4.0.
Yeah, well, one step at a time.
Okay.
Let's get the 3.0 going and figure it out a little bit, okay?
Yeah. Great.
All right, Eric,
Thanks,
thank
Chris.
you very much. I appreciate it.
Always.
Good.
Bye.